boat or in front of your boat, whichever you're fishing from. As the tide goes by, it'll go like that, and eventually the snook will work their way up, and some of them will be right there in that eddy behind your boat. I've seen it happen a number of times, and that could possibly have been what was happening there, but I do think the color of the water probably had a lot to do with it. They didn't know we were there. We were very quiet coming in with our setup, but when I caught that one, I had my rod over my shoulder like that, and I was talking, and all of a sudden I felt something biting, and I said, I think there's one right here, and I just dropped it down and caught him right there. I notified, as I mentioned earlier in the show, I sent an email to Ron Taylor, the head snook biologist at the FWC, and kind of filled him in on what we were doing, and we went by to visit Ron, and this is what he had to say.
Well, from the instant they're spawned as eggs in the mouths of inlets to the Gulf and oceans on the Atlantic side, or to secondary embayments such as Christmas Pass and the Ween Island. Those fish then migrate once they've grown to, like, I think it's 45 millimeters, about 2 inches. They then actively migrate up into freshwater environments as far as Manatee River up against the dam to Lake Manatee, right? I was just there yesterday. That's where you caught these fish? Anyway, they spend in about 6-8 months in that freshwater environment. Then as they approach year 1, they begin to migrate back down the river toward the estuary. At about, I'd say, between 16 to 18 inches, they're found right at the interface between freshwater and saltwater. Then as they approach their second year of age, fully 2 years of age, about 20 inches in total length, they then move into the habitat of the adult, not with the adult, but on the fringe of the habitat. If they joined the adult school, they would get eaten at that site. So the fish you guys caught are from the adults that remained after that freeze 2 years ago, in the summer of 2010. That's when they were spawned.
Welcome back. Rick Reddick and I are giving out lots of it. Ron Taylor. Now that was some great information there about Ron Taylor, Rick, the info he gave out.
Yeah, it's really, I keep saying special, but it is a special fishery, and the way that the FWC treats our fishery is really remarkable.
And it's pretty cool to learn about some of that. I did not know that. I did not know that, and then Ron sent over a little paper that basically explained it, what he was saying that Rick and I looked, and there's a lot there's a lot of scientific words and big words in there I didn't understand, but I get the gist of it, and it's pretty neat, pretty interesting, and how much knowledge they actually have on our fishery. Okie doke, well let's go to the trophy case. And in tonight's trophy case there's Will Harrell, and Will's got a great big old redfish, and had a double header, caught it in upper Tampa Bay. And he says we caught several of these, but these that picture, that was the winner, the ribbon winner, he says. He was using frozen threadfin. How about that? No white bait, no shrimp. Frozen threadfin. He was fishing in about 2 feet of water on a rising evening tide, right before the high tide. And he likes to fish in a Ginu. That's one of those really, really skinny boats that he gets back in those low tide areas, and he can get to where the fish are on the shallow flats. Congratulations, Will. That's a good fish right there, great big ones. And there's Ishmael Molina, Jr. and Sr. with some redfish. And Jr. sent them in. He says, here's these 2 reds my dad and I caught out in Cockroach Bay using a live shrimp under a cork. His was 18 inches and mine was 20. You just had to rub that in, didn't you, Junior? Yours is a little bit bigger than Dad's. They're great fighters and fun to catch. So congratulations to the Molina family. Nice reds. And here's a picture from Australia. That is Brett Sinclair. and that is a 575-pound tiger shark that Brett caught on a line with breaking strength of 13 pounds. That beat the world record for tiger shark on that pound line, and probably in the 15 or 10 pound, 12 pound class, whatever it was, probably 15 pound class. Beat it by 227 pounds. Took him 2 hours to catch that on 13-pound test. That's amazing. That is amazing. It's a pending IGFA world record. It's from Australia. It's not from around here, but it was such a neat catch. We just had to show it to you. Now the emails. Thanks a lot again for the good emails that we're getting. Rick and I will try to answer these. Lori writes in, he says, when buying a push pole, what are the features you want to pay attention to? Use a push pole much? Use electric motor?
I use electric motor on my power pole.
I've used a push pole a lot through the years, Lori, and when I use a push pole, I like the push pole to be light, as you'll be handling a lot, and I like for the surface of the push pole to be smooth, but not so smooth that my hand slips when I get ready to push. By smooth, if it's fiberglass or graphite, I don't want any slivers of that would slide into my hand as I pushed on it. With all that being said, the push pole that I currently use is a 13-foot wooden dowel that I buy at Home Depot or Lowe's or some of the big box home maintenance stores, home repair stores. And I'll go in there, I get the biggest one I can. I want to say it's maybe an inch or two thick, maybe 3, 2, 1.5 to 2. And I look for a straight one, and it just happens to fit right in the side of my boat. And it's inexpensive, and I just use that, and it works fine. You can get them all graphite or composite or Kevlar. There's some really neat ones out there. They have the V foot for pushing in mud, and they have the point for staking out. And so whatever your budget can stand, Lori, there's push poles out there for you. Light, smooth are probably the things that I look for the most. Okay, here's one for you, Rick. Tim says, I'm looking to expand my tackle box. What is your favorite lure for fishing for snook, trout, and reds? Doesn't have to be the same lure, it could be one for each.
Yeah, for the trout, the Miradine is the one that just consistently produces. And I mean, we caught permit, not pompano, but permit on the Miradine this year.
How about that?
And so you just never know with that one. The snook, you know, will usually be any kind of jig.
Soft plastic.
Soft plastic with a jig head that's dependent upon how fast the current's going. More current, more weight. And I don't fish too much for redfish with artificials, but
they bite all of those.
Yeah, they do. And the bomber lures also can be good for the snooks.
Okay. Well, Lori, there's 3. You heard it from Rick, and those are the ones he likes, and they happen to be the same ones that I like. Now, this is from Mark, and he says, Mark heard that many moons ago I heard that the bay was polluted very bad. That's true. And is that why we can't scallop in the bay? Is this true, and is there any info on when this may reopen? There is a belief, Mark, that the scallop is a very good indication of the water quality, and there's some information for you right there on the screen. And so some of the scallops disappeared in Tampa Bay probably because of that bad water quality, lower water quality. But they're starting to come back. And over on the Tampa Bay Watch page, Tampa Bay Watch website, there's some information about the Great Scallop Search. There it is right there, Saturday, August the 27th. And you can get over there and get involved with Tampa Bay Watch. Call them or email them. They need volunteers, and they'll give you a little area. And you go out and you have this certain area that you and all your friends, and you scallop along and see how many you find. You count how many you got, you measure them and do all this kind of jazz, but it's a neat family thing. And they have been finding a terrific amount of scallops in Tampa Bay, and we've been catching them in our cast nets, cast net for bait. So I got an idea there's going to be a lot of scallops here in the bay, which is good because, as I said, it's a sign of the water quality. So there's your answer, but go to the Tampa Bay Watch website, and that will give you all the information you need. Thanks for sending in your pictures, and thanks for sending in your emails. If you've got a question you'd like to ask me or an idea for a show, go ahead and email us if you've got any photos, or some fishing videos. Send them in to bhsn.com. Or if you have any problems with that or any questions on that, you can send them to me, Bill at billmiller.com, and we'll make sure you get them on the air. Rick, I see you've got 2 different bait well setups specifically designed for fishing these freshwater, saltwater areas.
Yeah, this one has a recirculating pump, and this one is just fresh intake. And actually, they both draw fresh water when you're running. I have a high-speed pickup on it, but when I'm running up the river, I'll watch my boat wake, and as the boat wake starts losing its bubbles, as it starts getting darker and darker, I'll come over and I'll shut the valve off on this one, turn the recirculating pump on so that I can preserve my salt water as I come up in the river. The fish that are in here are used to the fresh water that's in here, but the baits don't do too well. And so you can see in this one here, the dead bait is because the water was the fresh water from the river. But in this one here, there's still some bait swimming, and we've been fishing in here quite a while because there's still salt water in there.
Well, there's the answer on how do you get the white bait up into the fresh water. You need a recirculating well like Rick has. And when you take your salt water or the water with the proper salinity and you take it on up in there in the fresh water, you don't let any of that fresh water get in there. Now, Rick, you can also use shrimp.
Yeah,
shrimp will live okay up there.
Shrimp will do good. I would still say watch putting that fresh river water in with your shrimp.
Even with the shrimp?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay, we need to recirculate it then all the way. And what Rick and I are talking about, the white bait, the shrimp, and the techniques that we're using, there are lots of Bay Area rivers. We were just sitting here between the break, and we just started rattling off the Cody River, the Anclote River, the Alafai River, the Little Manatee River, Palm River, Braden River, Hillsborough River, Peace River, Myakka River, Philippi Creek, Rocky Creek, any of those places, all those things, this technique would work, and there's probably fish in those places.
Yeah, go try places where are unconventional.
Yeah.
Because it's not just in one river.
No,
all these rivers are nurseries this time of the year, it seems, and then next month or two and into the winter, the big ones will be in there. So, it'd be a good idea maybe to get some practice now in some of those rivers that you mentioned.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned the Palm River, but that's another one I've caught a lot of snook in through the years. Let's go back with some more snook action.
There he is.
There's one, Rick. That away.
And like right where you said, Bill.
Yep.
Right in that little eddy there.
Right in that eddy.
Now, this would be fun fishing for some kids. Something they can handle and get to the boat.
That must mean I'm a kid. Because I can handle this and I'm having a ball doing this.
Yeah, it is fun.
Right in there by the old stumperoo. Get that, flip it. Oh, not quite, maybe. Now, I didn't think that cast was quite in there, and is actually out a little bit. And this guy ate it right there. Same theory, but he was in a little deeper water. A little deeper, I wonder if that's the deal. Acting like a little better fish here.
Might be a red.
Feeling like a red.
He's got little shoulders, I just seen his tail.
Yeah.
Looks like a red.
Redfish. All right. Here's a way, I'm getting ready to break my rod. Look where I'm grabbing this rod, and I'm going to lift that rod up. And to lift that rod up, to get hold of that redfish, the rod's going to have to be almost straight up in the air. That tip is going to be straight down, and the rod's going to snap about the first or second guide out. Okay? It's called short sticking it. Don't do that. Either let out some